seems tonight that you could always speak your mind. You work so hard to say what's right. I watch you do it all the time. And when I called you on the phone, you said that I could be the one. But here I'm standing all alone, and you're out lying in the sun. Tell me, am I getting in too deep? Every night I'm talking in my sleep. Lately I am so confused, I really don't know what to do.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to Walk the Talk Sports. As you can see, I am flying solo today on this beautiful day. Actually, it's a really miserable, rainy day here at Willow Hall in the AB room, but I'm thanking our audience all for coming out today and braving the elements. Alex. Leave that in, Mike. Alex is feeling a little bit under the weather, so like I said, I am flying solo today. We have a lot to cover: college basketball, the Final Four, the Frozen Four in hockey, but baseball, the Yankees are still undefeated. Great. The Mets still haven't won a game. Not so good. So you can see, as you can hear, we have more Yankee fans in the audience than Met fans, but that's okay. But let me start off with college basketball. It's exciting. Next week is the Final Four. Last night, Connecticut, Iowa reached the Final Four, and that is going to be the first round. I think it's going to be on Friday. So you got Caitlin Clark from Iowa, the best player in college, women's college basketball, going up against Connecticut. Now this morning, reading the paper, I heard a story. She was recruited by many schools, which we probably know, except one. Connecticut did not come knocking on her door, which I find surprising, but now she has a chance to get her revenge against the really a monster college team, women's college team in college basketball over the years. So my favorite, NC State, is the second game. They play Purdue. That should be another good game as far as the women's side is. And in the men's, now this is weird. I mentioned this before we came on air. Connecticut has a men's basketball in the finals and the ladies, women's basketball. So does NC State. And I guess it happened, probably Connecticut did it a few years ago because I don't see any other school with the programs they have. But I think that's awesome to have two schools in the two separate finals, male and female. So I'm looking forward to the big, big weekend in college basketball. And if you ask me, I think it's going to be NC State versus Connecticut for the men's. Yeah. And I think it's going to be Purdue versus UConn in the men's. So we'll see what goes, and UConn is probably going to be favored to win. You know, they come from the Big East. They come from my conference with Villanova, St. John's, Seton Hall, but man, they are a machine to be. I don't know how they do it over the years. I don't know how they get the recruiting they do for so long, but I have to tip my cap to them and their program. So once again, it should be an exciting weekend for college basketball. Now I'll just touch on some NHL hockey. I'll just give the standings. It's the last 2 weeks of the regular season. Teams are getting ready for the playoffs. The teams that are in the playoffs: Boston, Rangers, New York Rangers, Tampa, Florida, Toronto, and I want to say Carolina. Teams on the cusp, outside looking in, are the Red Wings, Detroit, the New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, and the team I fear is the New Jersey Devils, which I hope they don't make it. But then again, you never know. And in the Western Conference, teams that are in are the Dallas Stars, the Colorado Avalanches, the Winnipeg Jets, the Vancouver Canucks, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Las Vegas Knights and Nashville Predators. Teams, wild card are the Kings, LA, and I want to say the Blues. Teams on the cusp, outside looking in, are Minnesota Wild, and I think that's it, because the other teams are more than 8 points behind. But I was happy this past week, and I'm glad the NHL put their foot down. They were thinking about having a playoff to get in, like more or less a play-in to get into the playoffs like basketball does, like the NFL does, I think. You know what? There's too many games. In my opinion, the Stanley Cup, which is that little trophy right there, is you play 16, you have to win 16, really grow, it's tough games. And that is, to my opinion, the toughest championship to win outside of, believe me, even better, it's tougher than football, it's tougher than baseball, basketball, because these 16 games that they have to win, round from round to round, it's brutal, beat up, and it's not just like the Super Bowl, it's just one game. No, it's 16 grueling games that you have to win. And I think the NHL, I'm so happy they said no to the play-in format for other teams. So that is the NHL. Now, in basketball, I'm just going to give, like I said, recap, top 4 teams, Eastern Conference. Of course, you have the Celtics, you have Milwaukee Bucks, you have the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the New York Knicks. In the Western Conference, you have the Oklahomers, Thunder, you have the Denver Nuggets, you have the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the LA Clippers. That is basketball, and they're getting ready. Also, hockey and basketball coincide. They start the season maybe a week or 2 weeks apart, but they end the same way as far as the end of the season, and then they get into the playoffs. Excuse me, and that is basketball. Now in golf, last week, in the Texas Children Houston Open, Stefan Jaeger won, shooting a 12 under, beating Scottie Scheffler. I tell you, to me, look, you people know that follow golf, he's the best player in golf today. He's won 2 championships, 2 tournaments in a row, and in the last round, he was right there. He missed a 6-footer to tie it to go to a playoff against the eventual winner, Jaeger, but he missed like a 6-foot putt. You know, it was disappointing. I wanted to see a playoffs, but this guy Jaeger, I mean, he came out of nowhere. He worked on he was always I would say, his weakest part of the game as far as golf was he couldn't drive his driver off the tee for distance. He worked on it, and it proved as far as this past tournament, he was dead on. And congratulations to him winning his first PGA tournament, shooting a 12 under. So good for him. Now, in the next stop is for next week, because now in 2 weeks, don't forget, we have the Masters in Augusta. But next week, they go to the Valero Texas Open down in San Antonio. That should be, I guess, another great, good tournament, you know, really getting primed for the Masters a week later. So, which is the Masters, there's nothing like it, I'll tell you that. That is, you know, it's Augusta. I've never been there. That's on my bucket list, but it's a beautiful place to visit, beautiful place to, I'm sure, to play golf. It's sacred ground. But, you know, on a funny note, talking about, before I get into my editorial about my owner of the Mets, Steve Cohen, he is invested in the new league. I guess it's called Tomorrow's Golf League. It's going to be more or less competition for the LIV. It's a certain criteria they're going to have. It's going to be based down in Florida. So his team now, he has 4 golfers. It is Alexander Schauffele is one player. Ricky Fowler, which is pretty good. Cameron Young is a third player, and I think it's last year's U.S. Open champion, Matthew Fitzpatrick. That's his team. So maybe his golf team, here's the caveat, can win more games than the baseball team, which hasn't won a game yet. So just throwing that out there, Met fans. Just saying it. I don't want to aggravate anybody, but you know, that's yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just crazy. Okay, what else I have here now? Oh yeah, I just, you know, I'll get into the editorial now. Steve Cohen, well, a Met fan over the years, we had the Wilpons who didn't want to spend a dime on any free agents, on anything of baseball related. Now we have an owner who wants to spend money, but just doesn't know how to spend it. So I don't get it. You know, it's amazing. Here's a gentleman that runs a major hedge fund. He's worth billions upon billions, like that series on Showtime, Billions, Bobby Axelrod, that's the guy. But he just doesn't get it right. I don't understand. You know, it baffles me. And I'm saying, you know, like that show, I don't want to mention his name, he used to say, you're fired. You know what? In my book, Cohen, you're fired. I mean, really. You know, he says he's grew up as a big Met fan, but man, you don't know how we feel. You say you think you know, but come on, man. You know what? That's it. I'll get off that subject. I'm done with that. Now, Diane's not here today, but I'll briefly touch on some soccer. In the English League, Premier League, you have, I'll just name the top 5. Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, Aston Villa, and Tottenham Hotspur. Those are the 5 top teams in the English League. In the Italian League, you have Inter, you have AC Milan, Juventus, Bologna, and you have Roma. Those are the top 5 in the Italian League. Now, in the Championship League, I think it's this Tuesday, the quarterfinals is going to be Arsenal versus Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. This is a good game. Real Madrid versus Manchester City in the quarterfinals for the Championship League, and more information will come after that as far as that's concerned. So as far as, like I said, the draft, more or less, touching on some football, is in 2 weeks. Yes, it's I think the 27th, or actually more, 3 weeks of this month, April. The Jets, of course, made some moves on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know who they're going to draft with their 10th pick, to be honest with you. I have no idea. They could go for they say quarterback, but I don't want to go down that road again. They've had bad luck drafting quarterbacks the past 20 years or so. I would think they're going to go either for a tight end or maybe another defensive end. Just saying, the Giants, with their, I think, 7th pick, they could go for a quarterback. And all I've been hearing is the kid from Michigan, if he's still on the board, I think they could make a run for him. They could. So, you know, with all the recycling and the movement of quarterbacks, free agents, this past offseason as far as free agency is concerned with football, it's wide open. So, and they could be trades at, you know, draft day. Teams could be moving up or dropping down to get more picks. You don't know. So it's just a little bit, you know, more or less, we'll have to wait and see. They say Aaron Rodgers is going to come back stronger than ever, but we've been down that road before. And I promise you this, I will not go to opening day like I did last year when he got hurt. I'm staying away. I'm staying away because I am the black cloud. Even though that day I did see a rainbow walking into the stadium, Stephanie and I, and we said, this is it. Eric Clapton, they were playing. I said, this is it. This is our moment. And sure enough, you know what happened, everything out there. So pretty much, I know, like I said, I'm flying solo, but I do have some exciting news. Next Tuesday, April 9th, is going to be our first installment of Coach's Corner. We're going to have 3 retired coaches meeting us here at the dais. Hopefully my buddy Alex will feel better and be with us next week. But more information, we're looking at a 3:30 start or a 5:30 start, but hopefully 3:30. The venue hopefully will be Leisure Fair, but I'm not sure. But the show will be next April 9th on a Tuesday. And like I said, I'm excited. We're going to move forward. We'll have more guests as far as being another installment of the Coach's Corner. And, you know, I mentioned this the last show we had, the bloodline in this area I'm fascinated by it as far as grandfather, father, son, and it just continues. And there's so many avenues, so many good stories, and how they more or less stayed friends over the years. I mean, through my experience coaching hockey and baseball, you become a family, like your coaches, your assistant coaches, but then after a while, when the kids grow and you walk away from it, you don't stay in touch. But for this group here, like I said, I can't wait to sit down with them and hear the stories. So that'll be next Tuesday, the start of that. And that's it. That's pretty much a wrap. I forgot to say before the show started, or while the show started, the best show south of the Big Apple, east of the city of brotherly love. I'm sure I'm going to hear from my brother Alex once we go off air. But once again, everyone, thanks for braving the elements today. I'll see you next Tuesday. And remember all, keep it between the lines.
I told you once tonight that you could always speak your mind. You work so hard to say what's right. I watch you do it all the time. And when I called you on the phone, you said that I could be the one. But here I'm standing all alone, and you're out lying in the sun. Tell me, am I getting in too deep? Every night I'm talking in my sleep. Maybe we're just holding on to something that'll soon be gone. Could you be the one I'm thinking of? Could you be the girl I really love? All the people tell me so, but what do all the